Let's see. Is it going up? Is it going up? I gotta pull this over just to see is the letters up? The letters are up. Am I hearing myself? I'm hearing myself. I'm hearing myself make mouth noises. All right. So my stream is up. I can hear everything that I'm supposed to be able to hear. Basically, I saw a thing where Extra Credits made a video about orcs, and I decided, you know what? Let me give them a chance. I got 30 seconds in, and it was already like not good. It was not good, so I thought I would just let everyone else join me through this journey. Let's see. I don't know why I wanted it that. I don't want it that high. I'm barely hitting this high. I can't make them look better than I can't make them look better than me. But bioessentialism and world building. That's the video.
If you paid attention to the game's discourse on the internet during 2019 and 2020, you might have noticed a reoccurring argument about some species from fantasy media, specifically orcs. Now, not to worry, this episode isn't going to be just another member of the chorus talking about how if all orcs in a game are blindly evil, that it's racist.
Oh yeah. Sure. That was the argument the whole time. That was the whole discussion. Way to summarize it very well. No, the thing was, some people got really hung up on this idea that it was like, yo, the orcs, they represent a specific race of people in the real world. How dare they? And that was the problem that people had. It was like, no, the orcs do not represent a real race of people in the real world. They are fictional. They are fantasy creatures. Don't do this to us. Well, we'll continue.
Instead, we want to discuss how that particular choice is simply bad game design.
It's not bad game design, though. That's not the game design. That's narrative. That is narrative and world building. The game does not hinder on the game itself does not hinder on the orcs being evil or good, unless it's like a super heavily narrative driven game. It's the narrative that suffers if anything suffers. So the game could be really good and have a weak narrative and all the orcs are evil. That's fine. And the game could also be really bad and have good orcs in it. Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Anyways, I'm not gonna let them shill. Oops. I'm not gonna let them shill on my stream. Hang on. I haven't even gotten there yet. Press the 5 button. So that way y'all don't see their code. Y'all don't see their NordVPN code. Because this is unrelated. Alright. So now I can press this button. We're back. We're back to where we need to be. Nope.
Welcome James Mendez Hose, who guest wrote this episode. Thanks so much, Mendez. Much
Okay, so we got an orc here.
of the recent conversation on orcs points out that characterizing a whole species in your game as ugly, warlike, and malevolent might be harmful to real-world groups regularly mischaracterized as ugly, warlike, and malevolent.
Who is making these assumptions? What the fuck? Who is doing this? Who? Literally who? It's like, yeah, orcs in your fantasy setting, you not even just orcs, just any creatures. Okay, I've been reading a lot of Wheel of Time lately. The Trollocs. The Trollocs, they're these ugly, half man, half beast monstrosities. They come in and they pillage your town. They tear things apart. They eat people. They're scary. Everyone hates them. And you know what? Because of this, if you're aligned with the Dark One, if you're aligned with Shaitan, okay, if you're potentially an evil person, a dark friend, if you will, people don't like you because you're working with the Trollocs, because the Trollocs are evil. I have no clue what this argument is even supposed to be. They are saying that literally you're gonna see an orc and then you're gonna see someone's grandma in that orc. It makes no sense. This is the imagery they're using for it. It makes no sense. I don't like it. It is pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I don't know. I'll have to get better at these transitions, but I'm gonna go back to the video now.
However, this video isn't that. Though if you want more on that discussion, Mendez breaks it down wonderfully over on his website, and we'll have a link to that in
No, there's no way to wonderfully break that down. It is literally just... You have to be an idiot to believe that. Anyone who would make that association is so dumb and such like a horrible person to begin with that you wouldn't even want to associate with them. Just think about how bad someone must be to think racial person in the real world when he thinks of orcs. That would be terrible. That would be a terrible person. I wouldn't want to hang out with them. If he saw real people as orcs from a fictional thing, it would just it doesn't connect to me. It's like, how did you come to this conclusion? You're the person making these connections. I gotta know how you came to this. Anyways.
the description. But here, we're going to talk about something related. Why characterizing a group like this in your game can be lazy at best, and at worst, actively harmful to the world you're creating. When designing a game's world and populating it with fictional species, a designer might be tempted to differentiate them from one another by certain inalienable qualities, like their moral alignment, violent versus peaceful.
That just seems like a normal thing. Moral alignments are a typical thing in a lot of games. And you have things in Fallout, you have things like karma. In Dungeons and Dragons, we all know how it works. There's the grid. You can be chaotic, you can be lawful, you can be neutral, and you can be good or evil. You have the 9 grid of that. And that's just typical. That's like nothing unique. I hope that there's like a lot more substance to this than just, oh yeah, you can totally have set moral alignments for different groups of fantasy creatures. It's like, okay, so that's the typical, is what I would say. That's the typical way that this fantasy creature is if you're going to give them a moral alignment. And if you're just going to come out and tell me, I'm going to predict this video. I haven't seen this video. If you're just going to come out and tell me, well, yeah, you can like break the mold. You could have a couple of them that don't align with that moral alignment that most of them have been preset with. I'm going to be really pissed off because that is so dumb That is something very common. That is not something that people needed a video about. I'm here because I'm like, okay, surely you have something better than if you break the mold. You break the mold. uh, I'm scared that that's what it's going to be. I'm just delaying it slowly.
Law versus chaos, good versus evil, and the like. It's a common trope in speculative fiction, but especially in the context of a game, painting an entire species with the same moral brush actually weakens the entire thing. This idea that a certain subgroup, like race,
Okay, look at this. They got people of all races. They're like, uh, there's like a big difference between like human races and fantasy races, because when you start getting into this, you're basically going from humans that are all one species to, bird people, dragons, all these things that are completely different species that have a completely different set of culture, that have all these different things going on. And it's very dependent on so many things. It is very dependent on that creature's culture. It's dependent on uh how they view the world. So when you have a fantasy race of creatures, I'm going to stick with Wheel of Time for my example, because that's what I have right now. When you have a group of fantasy creatures that all work for the Dark One and go around to villages plundering and pillaging and raping and everything, yeah, I think it's fine to say that these creatures are evil. It's fine to strike a broad brush and say that is these creatures are of the Dark One. And as far as I'm aware, I think there was like one scene. Wheel of Time is a long series, and I've barely started the 7th book. I barely got through the prologue of the 7th book. There's been a scene in Wheel of Time. I don't remember which book. I just know there was like a Trolloc or a Murdral, something has already done what you're probably going to do. What you're going to say is like mind-blowing, where instead of killing our hero, you're going to save him and say, "Run away before I change my mind." I don't like this. These comparisons, the comparison they have on screen bothers me. This idea that they have on screen that actual people, average people, genuinely see other people as evil based on just outward physical characteristics. It bothers me that they would even assert this, because in my mind, I think that most people don't do that. I think that the people that would make that association are so bad, so mean, deep inside, that they probably only have friends that are also that bad and that mean and that judgmental. So let's just continue this, I guess.
nationality, or sex has inalienable traits, is called biological essentialism or simply bioessentialism. And it's a valid way to talk about qualities like how many legs an animal has or whether it can fly.
Thank you. I couldn't. You're gonna say, I can't say these creatures that 99.9% of the time work for the Dark One. I have to make all these exceptions. I have to remember that there's the one exception to the rule, guys. I'm not allowed to paint them with the broad brush for my story.
But all too often, this concept gets misused in untrue statements, like pit bulls are a violent breed,
They are.
men are more logical than women,
We are.
or Asians are better at math.
They are.
Now, chances are, if a game is set in the real world, that the designers are avoiding these
It's like, these are just so stupid. It's like it's so bad. It's like okay. Okay. You're just going to like say all these things and pretend like it's the same thing when you say it in the real world versus a fictional world. It's not the same thing. There's a difference between fiction and reality. It is a very it's not a thin line is the thing. We know what is fictional and we know what is reality. So, in a fictional universe where I don't know, the bad guy creates the evil race of people, the bad guy creates the orcs and the orcs do the bad guy's bidding. I think it's safe. I think it's safe to do broad brush. I think it's safe to do biological essentialism. If you're playing Dungeons and Dragons and the dungeon master is like, hey, in this story, all the orcs belong to this one faction. There's no good orcs in this story. Is it fine to just paint all the orcs in that particular story with one broad brush? I think it is. There's no reason to not allow for people to paint broad brushes to have a simpler story that focuses on other things. You might just want to have a story about you might just want the action story. You just want a full out war. You want the last movie of The Hobbit. You want the third movie where it's just war, it's just people fighting constantly. You just want that. That's what you want. You just want these giant war between all these groups. That's what you want. You don't want to worry about who's good, who's really good, and who's the bad guys. You've already got the bad guys. The orcs are the bad guys. They work for the evil people, and they're coming to kill you, our main characters. We've established a story. It's happening. I'm sorry that it used biological essentialism, but it's very quick and it's very effective, and it gets us to you're stabbing people, you're slashing, you're hacking, you're slashing again. You're kicking. Oh no, an orc. He's got his axe. It's raised above his head. He's gonna chop your friend's head off. Oh, you better shoot him. Oh, looky there. A different group that we've painted with the good brush has saved your friend. It was a very dramatic moment. And now we can continue with the hacking and slashing again. It's to be quick. It's not to be... It doesn't have to be complicated. It's to be quick and simple. You don't have to overcomplicate everything.
These tropes because they aren't real, as multiple fields of societal and hard science can readily prove to you. But speculative fiction offers us an opportunity to reify or make real various
Oh, thank you. I didn't know that I would speculate in speculative fiction.
things which don't exist or to exaggerate things which do. Now, bioessentialism is a tempting idea in fantasy for some of the same reasons as it is in the real world.
It's not even really tempting in the real world unless you're a total fucking asshole. It's just not. It just isn't. Hang on, let me fix this. There we go.
Because to our human minds, broad generalizations are comforting. They reduce the world to simple cut and dry categories. All orcs bad, all elves good. Root for these folks, not for these folks.
What about dark elves? What about elves that worship Satan? Okay? And then what about the one orc? What about the one or two orcs that occasionally are good? What about the exceptions? It's like it's just all it's going to be. It's about, oh, there's going to be exceptions to the biological essentialism rule. It's like, no shit, Sherlock.
But just like in the real world, bioessentialism can present problems in fiction as well, specifically a moral one. The idea that a sapient species can inherently tend towards good or evil acts, or lawful or chaotic ones, and that moral essentialism actually undercuts the greatest strength games can bring to storytelling. The players own power to make meaningful, interesting choices and judgments for their characters, including moral ones. So if a game's creative choices apply a moral valuation to every member of an entire species before the players even meet them, well, now that's just taking that power away from the players. And in turn,
Uh, fine. It's taking the power away from the players. I don't really think it's a power. It's the setting. In this setting, all people that use real graphics are evil. And people that just talk with text in front of them are good. it's like that's a setting you could do. You could do any setting you want. It's not changing power dynamics. It's just laying out a foundation. So if in my story all the orcs are evil, fine. All the orcs are evil. It's a little simple. It's a little simple, but it's fine. All the orcs are evil, and we're got to kill all the orcs because they're trying to kill us. That's easy as can be. Easy as can be. That's just a simple. That's just how we're starting, okay? That's just how we're starting. And then suddenly, it doesn't matter if I say all the orcs are evil from the beginning too, because I could always come out from left field and say, out of nowhere, a special orc arrow pierces through another orc, and an orc comes riding in, killing his brethren. Is he actually on your side, or is this part of a blood feud? Who knows? Who knows? Could be anything. So bad. This is very, very simplistic.
if a group of orcs, for instance, doesn't even have a choice about their actions, are they actually evil? Because look, if a person, say, destroys a house, we call that evil because they chose to do so. But if a tornado destroys a house, well, I mean, is wind evil? No.
Well, it's because of their ability to choose to do it. It is because they are working for the evil people that choose to destroy houses. The Trollocs destroy the two rivers. They are evil. They eat people. They eat humans. They are evil. I don't care if there is one good Trolloc out there. They are evil. I don't want my main characters in Wheel of Time to deal with them because they're evil. And they're mean and they're violent and vicious and they'll kill you. They do terrible things. I don't want anyone to deal with it. But yeah, it happens. You're going to have to deal with the Trollocs anyways in a setting where there are Trollocs.
Therefore, if a game...
I'm just gonna stop showing the graphics because the graphics are not good. They're really not good. I just want the audio, because that I think just letting them speak does wonders.
game's world building chooses to program every member of a species to destroy, aren't they more like the tornado? Now, if the player's characters are able to make moral choices, but an entire class of NPCs is inherently evil regardless of their choice, then the game is either telling the player that moral choices don't matter, or it's simply driving a wedge between the player's morality and the morality that applies to the rest of the world, blocking...
All right, I have a good idea. I have a good example. Hang on. Okay. I'm going to change this. Okay. Let me just make sure. Is that centered? It is not centered. Let me transform it, and it will be centered. Bam! I did that on the fly. Anyways, I have a good example. In Destiny 2, I started playing Destiny 2 because someone told me to play Destiny 2. In Destiny 2, you just spawn into the map, and before anything even happens, you already know who the bad guys are. You know why? Because they're attacking you. Okay, the bad guys are attacking you for no reason. Why are they attacking you? No reason given. But you know they're the bad guys, so you start shooting them. And if you aren't shooting the bad guys, if you just say like, "Oh no, I have to have this person's complex and riveting backstory," you're gonna get shot and die. You're gonna get shot and die over and over again, and then you're gonna realize, I can't reason with them. I gotta shoot them because they're the bad guys. They're the aliens that want to kill me because I'm a human. They hate me. I don't know the full backstory. I don't know why they hate me or anything like that. I just know they want to kill me. They want to kill me. So they're the bad guys. The slime in your RPG comes up, starts hitting you. Choo Choos and Zelda. They're like, boing boing. I'm gonna zap you. I'm gonna take your hearts away. Are they evil? Are they sentient? I don't know. They have eyes. They're looking at you. Maybe they just want to give you a big smooch. Maybe they just want to give you a big kiss. But you're gonna kill them because they gave you that choo choo jelly. And sometimes it's electric, sometimes it's on fire, sometimes it's frozen. It is worth it to have. You like having it. So you're killing them for resources, even if they aren't necessarily evil and working for Ganondorf. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're evil or good. If they're attacking you, they become the enemy.
Blocking the player from further becoming a part of it. For instance, in Warhammer 40k, this inconsistency is central to the Imperium of Man's villainous creed. Individuals' human choices make them good or evil, whereas aliens are created evil.
Yeah, that is good design in that story. You know why? Because in that faction's opinion, all the aliens are evil. They've determined this, and if you don't agree with that, there are other factions that don't think all the aliens are evil.
Of course, Games Workshop made that choice to facilitate a war game where lethal violence is the only option. But then folks also saw that in the 40k novels and RPGs, which required more interesting narrative complexities, Imperial heroes have to grapple with and recognize the illogic of that creed based on their own experience. Okay, but now you might be asking,
Oh wow. Oh wow. It's like you can be more complex. You can be more complex even with this rule set established. Like I was saying before, Wheel of Time. I don't remember which book it was in. I just know there's Trollocs or a different beast that works for the Dark One. In a big fight, instead of killing one of our main characters, he lets our main character go. Just says, "Go on. I'm not gonna kill you at this time." You know, broke the rule temporarily. Mind blown. I don't know. Is it mind blowing? Is it mind blowing to break the rule set in your narrative? I don't know. In 40k, it's like, hey, this one faction has the belief that every other race is evil, other than humans. And even when they're like, oh yeah, they're not actually evil, but like, we can't let our guard down ever. Okay, that's fine. I don't get it. This is so simple. I just don't know why it needs. They're spending 8 minutes on this video, and they could have just said, you can have a good orc occasionally, or something like that.
What if you're playing the kind of game where you're engaging in violence because it's exciting and fun, not because of its moral dimensions, where the meaningful choice is about tactics rather than ethics? Maybe the goal is to take moral calculus out of the problem. Sure, one solution might be saying, all orcs are evil, go ahead and shoot them. But in that situation, as soon as someone inadvertently feels some empathy, as people often do for anything seeming even vaguely alive, the easy answer becomes less easy. And if the goal
you have to be like really unaware of how games work. The easy answer is when the orcs start swinging their axes at you, when the orcs start trying to club your face in, you attack back, you run away, you kill them with your magic and stuff. You don't have time to debate the morals and ethics of killing the orcs because the orcs are trying to kill you. That's the whole point in most of these games and in most of these stories. The evil race that is attacking you is evil and attacking you. So even if they were normally good or whatever, you've still got to deal with the fact that they're attacking you. They are attacking you. Are you just gonna let them? Are you just gonna let them take your weapons? Are you just gonna hope that they don't kill you while they're slinging their claws at you, while they're throwing their fists at you? Just gonna hope and pray? No. You're gonna protect your character. Maybe if you're very charismatic in a tabletop RPG or in a dialogue tree, maybe if you're very charismatic, you can trick them into not killing you without doing anything with weapons. But not every thing has a charisma roll, and not every charisma roll is going to be successful. So in the end, you might have to kill an orc. I'm sorry. Like, are you just morally hung up on killing orcs? Because from what I'm seeing, it just seems like you have this whole hang up where you you personally view this entire thing as like, oh, this is an allegory for a real life race of people in the real world. And that is just so weird to begin with. And now you're just saying all this other stuff like, oh, but what if I have moral questions about the ethics of killing the orcs? And it's like, okay, well, you can ask that later. You can ask that later when they aren't trying to kill you.
The goal of your game is to stop players from engaging in moral debates and just fight some bad guys, you kinda gotta say something more reliable than, oh, it's fine, they were all born this way.
They're all attacking you. Don't worry about the morals. They're all attacking you.
Fortunately, the real world's made progress on this problem, because sometimes in this day and age, people actually bear visual signifiers which say, I'm evil, not because of where I was born, but because of the choices I've made.
Oh, yeah, trust me. Trust me. This person would totally think that people are evil because of where they were born and the way they were brought up. You know they would. They made this video, you know they would think that people are evil based on like holding certain opinions. This person, in my opinion, I have a feeling based on previous content, they would get triggered hardcore by symbols that they don't even understand, that they just personally don't like. If someone wore a symbol that they didn't like on their hat, on their belt buckle, they would say, this person is evil. All people under that banner are evil. He wouldn't be having this moral debate about rednecks. I can tell you that much.
Such as Nazi uniforms and Klan hoods.
There we go. What What's the new clan hood, you guys? We all know what the new clan hood is. It was the new clan hood for 4 years. I heard about it. MAGA. It's the new clan hood, you guys. I loved all of that.
Then in fiction, we have things like the Hydra logo, a clear visual signifier, but one that denotes choice, not birth. And
How do you know? They could have been born into Hydra. They didn't know any better. That's the thing. It's like, oh, it's choice, not birth. Birth affects your choices. It does. It does. You don't always choose what happens to you when you're born. You typically don't. You know? So your influences shape who you become. And if you're just never introduced to alternate ideas, you never really question it. It gets harder and harder to break your mental thought on this.
And if the statement that a game is making with its backstory and symbols is that an enemy had a choice and they chose wrong, then that gets way less complicated.
Okay, so we need like all this deep lore. We need all this deep lore to get to the beginning of a game. We can't even just start a game and say, hey, the bad guys are the people who are attacking you. Because what if I'm really the bad guy? What if I'm really the bad guy?
For a game that's interested
That's
in
what this sounds
uncomplicated
like.
violence. So whether a game does or doesn't want its players to overthink their characters' moral choices, evil as a choice is just more effective than evil as a bioessential trait.
It's not even that evil is the bioessential trait. It's just this person is attacking you. This person is trying to eat you. They have a picture of a xenomorph up here. The xenomorph is an alien, and its entire thing is that it's hungry. It's not evil, it's just hungry. But I'll let you in on a little secret. It's hungry for you. And if it eats you, you die. Oh! Now there's a moral dilemma here because if the alien doesn't eat, it dies. But if it eats, it might eat you. But the alien, what if it isn't evil? What if it isn't evil?
But then, of course, if everyone wearing the evil team uniform happens to be an orc, or if every orc happens to have chosen Team Evil, the game wouldn't exactly be communicating that difference very well.
Yeah, because not every setting has to be complicated with all this lore and shit. If it's just like, hey, we're doing real quick. We're doing a real quick one-shot round of Dungeons and Dragons. All the orcs are evil. All the other people are good. There's some dark elves too, though. People just want to make it quick. They don't need all the backstory. They just need a short, simple backstory. And if the short, simple backstory is orcs are evil, just go with it. Just go with it. There doesn't have to be all of this moral debate about it. I've said basically the same things. I don't know how many fucking times just looking at this video. This video is 8 minutes long, and I'm realizing this is exactly why EFAP drags on for hours and hours and hours, because these people will say such dumb shit. And it's like, dude, same response over and over again because I don't have really much else to say. It's not groundbreaking what you're doing here. You're like, oh, they're not actually all evil. It's like, okay, but enough of them are evil. Okay, enough Trollocs are evil to, I don't know, cause concern. 99.9% of Trollocs are evil. That is what I've learned. In Stormlight Archive, okay? The Parshendi shoot arrows at me. It's very bad. I don't like it. Therefore, I don't like the Parshendi that are shooting arrows at me. There's a Parshendi that is in my group, though, and he's cool. It's like, it's like we're at war. It doesn't matter. Stop debating these moral questions. We're at war. Someone's attacking you. What are you going to do about it?
Quick fix here would be to show some diversity in the evil team's hiring practices. For instance, with evil humans and elves as well as orcs. Or conversely, introduce orcs who have chosen good and neutral as well as evil. And
you don't need that. You don't need that to have fun. Not every story has to have all of this moral diversity. You can have this race was created by the Dark One. They are just embodiments of evil. The end. It started. You know they're evil because they're evil. You can have it be as simple as that. They're evil because they're evil.
And a good example of a series getting better and better at this over time is Mass Effect. Because in the first game, Commander Shepard never meets a nice Batarian or a fun Geth. But then, spoiler alert, most of these evil species turn out to be as complex and interesting as the human ones as the trilogy progresses. Broad moral generalizations about species or culture not only doesn't make internal sense, but it also leads to less evocative, less rewarding worlds and games.
Okay, well, not every game has to have an evocative world. I have so much fun in Binding of Isaac. And I don't think that everything in Binding of Isaac is evil. All the things in Binding of Isaac are evil. But here's the thing. They may not be morally evil. Okay. Oh, this is where it's going. This is the kind of thing that you'd have to question now. Is Isaac's mom really immoral though? Is she doing anything that is immoral? She's doing God's will. And God's will reigns supreme. Is she really immoral for trying to just obey God? It's like Isaac says yes. Isaac says yes there because she's gonna kill him. But you're gonna have like this whole backstory. But like, is God real? Is his word truly final? You're gonna have all this extra questions and stuff. When all I need to know is I'm Isaac. My mom is a crazy religious wingnut, and she's gonna kill me with the knife. I don't want to die at the hands of a crazy woman with a knife. I'm running away. I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry in my basement and hope the monsters don't eat me. It's like, that's how you make a good world right there. It's simple. Very, very quick. All the Trollocs are evil. All the Parshendi are killing us. Or at least trying to. It just make it very quick. And if you read Stormlight Archive, yeah, the whole Parshendi thing gets crazier and crazier. But that's how it starts. It starts, this group of people over here don't like us. They keep fighting with us. We're going to fight back. It's not about it being moral. It's not about which side is moral. It's about the fact that there's a war and people are fighting. And it's the same thing with Destiny 2. I don't know. Maybe some of these aliens, these aliens that I have no connection to, maybe some of them are good people. Maybe some of them are lovely people. Maybe. But it doesn't matter if they're good people or not. They're shooting me. They're trying to kill me. I don't have time to ask these moral questions about, well, are they good guys or bad guys? Who's the real good guy? Who's the real bad guy? They're shooting me. I've said this a bajillion times now. I just don't know, like, this video hurts my head.
But we can solve that problem by following our best creative instincts. to diversify, deepen, and complicate the worlds we create and its denizens.
But I don't want every single thing to be complicated.
This way, players won't be incentivized to make snap judgments about
I'm going to make snap judgments. I'm going to. The alien shooting at me. He's a bad guy. I got to shoot back.
our game's orcs or aliens or undead based on moral absolutes or body types. Instead, we'll all be driven to investigate, explore, and
But they're undead. Okay, so I have a religious belief that the undead are probably of Satan. It's something like that, okay? My instincts tell me the undead are evil. The undead attack me. I assign attacks from the undead to my own moral beliefs. I'm forever never going to deal with the undead ever again. Okay, that's my decision. People can make their own decision on that, but hey, guess what? Not every world has to be built the same.
and learn. Our players will invest themselves more in our games. And because they're human, ask the hard questions to push our design into even more enriching and unexpected places. Plus, maybe if we ditch this whole evil races line of thinking, if one day orcs or extra-dimensional horrors or even isekai protagonists pop out of a portal, they'll offer us humans the same courtesy.
Gross.
I'd call that a win-win.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I turned it off because they were gonna show their NordVPN ad. Oh god, this is a bad video. It's like it's just very simplistic. Essentially, what you're saying is it is a bad idea. So bad, so evil, so horrible if you just say, well, hey, this fantasy group is evil because I said so. And then I don't know. I don't even really know what to add. I think I've said everything, okay? You can make your fantasy races evil just to be evil, and it's perfectly valid. You can you could probably make an analog of fantasy races to real races of human. Not everyone has to be some complex orc that not every character has to be so complex that you question their moral values. Because let's face it, okay? I'm just gonna go back to the same example I was using. Trollocs are attacking your town. Do you have time to debate whether or not every single Trolloc is part of the evil caravan that is here to attack your town? I don't think so. Oh, maybe one of the Trollocs that came to attack the Two Rivers, maybe one of the Trollocs that Rand killed, maybe he would have actually saved Rand's life and not sent him to go with Moraine and learn about the One Power, the male half of the One Power, and go insane. Maybe, but I doubt it. I think they were all there to destroy the Two Rivers. Maybe one of these aliens that's trying to shoot me is actually a really swell guy, but I doubt it because he's trying to shoot me. That's really all I can say. It's it's just really funny to me. It's like not everything has to be so complicated. You can make the evil race thing work in fantasy. Okay? Now if you're going and you're saying, well, skin color determines whether or not you are evil. Yeah, that's so dumb that no one would actually do that, and the people that would actually do that are not well liked. But you're looking at someone, you're like, that person is from a culture that is very different from ours, and they will not hesitate to kill us for no reason. Yeah, you can assume a lot of those people are evil. Maybe a couple of them. Maybe a couple of them are unique, are special snowflakes. There's a couple super mutants out there that talk nice to you, and will make trade deals with you. But most of them just want to eat you and blow you up, and most of their dogs will rip you to shreds. So you know what? I don't really have time to make these moral judgments. If they are nice to me at first, if they make it clear that they aren't going to kill me, fine. I can give them the time of day. But if they're attacking me, fuck off. I'm not gonna deal with these moral questions. No one does these moral questions in their video games. Okay, there's just such like you have to have a very specific goal in mind for this to work. You either have to be like, well, I want the option available for like a pacifist run, or I want the option for people to use charisma. You have to have those options in mind. And then you have to have like a very robust lore in mind. And not every game has to have a robust lore. It can be just as simple as you woke up in a castle and all around you there's a war going on. The orcs are fighting the humans, and you're wearing the same kind of uniform as the humans. So you decide, okay, well, I'm joining the humans. I want to live. I'm getting out of here as best I can. I don't know. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it also doesn't have to have this heavy moral weight that you're adding to it. I just don't. I just don't get it. It's just the amount of emphasis on this moral weight that annoys me. I think, cause not everyone does that. Not everyone does that. Not in their games. Not really in anything. And it's just very hard to figure out why you would put that emphasis on it. It's like, why'd you bring up the whole racism thing at the beginning? It's just all very like, that's weird. It's just all very weird. So I don't know if this stays up. Probably will. I'm too lazy to go back and delete it. But this was fun. I had fun. I probably didn't make amazing points. Just made the same point over and over again. But I had fun. That's the important thing. Thanks for stopping by.